На пол, на пол, на пол, на пол, бегом!
Руки назад. За что задержан, знаешь? За что?
Готовимся. Захват. За что задержан? Говорите.
Так распиздосят сейчас, пидорасы. Хуярят по-страшному. Вот такое у нас утро. Ёбаные шики.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is October 24th, 2025. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Not that it matters for me. My life is absolute mess. I work whenever I can work. But there is a lot to unpack. And as you can see yourself, in terms of Kherson, we can see what is happening in Kherson in the beginning of the video, and then of course you can see yourself what is also shown to you, how Russian anti-terrorist committee, essentially, this is FSB and all kinds of other power ministers which are involved in that, take in people who, surprise, were not just the ones who committed the crime against people in Crocus, which is the terrorist act, of course, but actually recruiters. This is one or two ranks over, above those, Middle Asian, radicals and, what have you. No, these are the guys who already have the access to personalities of those people who themselves recruited them and used them as the intermediaries in arranging the terrorism on the territory of Russia. And so suddenly all those heroic people who support, whatever Nazi regime, will be singing as birds. And as always, whenever they get caught, they begin to stutter, they begin to cry. Some of them actually soil themselves. And this is so much for those people who are, and let's call it the way it is, it's not just the Ukrainian intelligence services. There is a lot of direct involvement of all people from MI6 and CIA. These are the people who are good at terrorism and false flag only. And in terms of the real understanding of the, what is the world around them and how to handle it, not so much. Not surprising when one considers the overall dismal as it is, professional and educational level of those people, because the old generation of people who still knew how to do things is leaving the stage. But we will start with what everybody talks about, obviously, and this is the issue of Mr. Putin responding, to first, he commented on this horrendous situation with the toilets. And Putin commented on the composition of the 19th package of the European Union sanctions. The ban on toilets will affect Europe. Russian leader Vladimir Putin spoke to reporters. During the conversation, he assessed the composition of the new package of European sanctions against Moscow. Especially noteworthy were the restrictions on the supply of Russian toilets. Vladimir Putin, not without humor, replied that this decision would cost the Europeans dearly. And yes, the only thing which they can sanction now, toilets, something else, and when you look at them today, and especially Europeans, and I want to immediately comment on things which, by the way, I have been accused of being inconsistent, for example, in my blog, by all people thinking that I have to sit here and repeat constantly that, oh yeah, Europe, the West, they must die. No, the way they exist today, they are dying. What people do not understand, many of those people, and there are, as you might expect, a lot of many people who love sloganeering. You don't say enough tough words towards this and that. Or you hate West, but you have to hate all Westerners. So basically their logic and the way they view world, it's a typical Manichaean world. Manichaean being obviously black and white, no shades of gray, nothing of color in between. They think and their logic, and that's what I want to stress. And this is the thing which it's my position, which is unchanged throughout my last, I don't know, many years, many decades. And this is one is that because of the crimes of the West, which it committed globally, they did decide not to see the good things which the West actually gave to the world, in the world which we live today, which was shaped by the Western civilization, including, by the way, Russia in the last 500 years. But those people do not want to see anything beyond that. And to their logic, the defeat of the West means also defeat of the total population of it. I sometimes say, and I stress this, that I do not use the broad brush, but when I say about, for example, majority of European population, and saying that most of them are sheeple and brainwashed hoi polloi, it applies pretty much across the board anywhere. But you cannot blame some people for 500-year-old colonialism or imperialism who live today. Most of them are, brainwashed people. They want to live just normal, like stomachs. Economic issues are always primary for the most people around the world. So, but the problem with the logic of those people who accuse me of being not consistent, not saying strong enough words, is that they want in the end the physical annihilation of the population of Europe, period. And that is why any attempt to point out that, for example, for all crimes of the West against Africa, or for all crimes of the West against any other Asian country, for example, you know what? Ask those people who accuse me, including from those localities in Africa or Asia, what they're gonna do if the white European people will begin to occupy, essentially, through the uncontrolled immigration, their countries. Oh, you're not gonna get proper answer. But that is why even any kind of the mentioning of the fact that European culture, the way it existed, at least until now, until recently, 20, 30 years, when it was utterly corrupted with the new generation of the imbeciles and cuckolds, is that actually if they want to erase completely that, I have issues with this. And many people do not understand that when the Notre Dame de Paris was burning in its, flames, it was the tragedy, as was respected by, basically stated by the patriarch of Russian Orthodox Church, that it is a tragedy. One of the Christian actually symbols have been burning, and Russian Christians obviously reacted to this. So it's difficult to explain to those people that they have to take the holistic view, if you wish, of the world around themselves. And if they want to, actually Europeans to suffer, which they are beginning to, well, it's their problem. And obviously, as I said many times, I do have sympathy to those people. European children, they are innocent, as they are innocent African children, as they are innocent children in Southeast Asia or elsewhere. But Evidently, my message is always garbled by some people and, well, misinterpreted, to put it politely. So, but that's the thing. Our good friend Larry Johnson, still in Moscow, he met with legendary Russian commandant, Lieutenant General actually, and deputy of the political directorate of Russian Defense Ministry, Abtiala Udinov. And Abtiala Udinov, who is the hero, bona fide hero of Russia, he stated to Larry when they were talking about it, he stated that we hate war. Russians hate conflict. Russians hate violence. That's if those people who wish all European civilization completely disappear, when even I say that they will, but I say it with a degree of sadness. But if they are so enjoying this, well, they have to have their head checked by the serious psychiatrist, because in this case they are no different from those people who gave us Nazism, National Socialism, fascism, imperialism, and things of this nature. So what's the difference? None. There is no difference between them. It's just that one type of imperialism, another the other, and so simple like that. And when you look at Paris, you can see yourself what happened to once. Well, I mean, definitely important culture in the world, and which in 19th century and late of 18th century was dominating the world of the Christendom. It was French. So today it's a crap hole. And just to demonstrate to you how, to what degree they are imbeciles basically there. And apart from Macron offering obviously Ukraine all those, oh god, he wants to give them again mirages, some kind of Aster missiles, air defense missiles. They do not work. They're crap. They may shoot down some slow target, yeah, but they are absolutely useless against the real serious standoff weaponry. And so we have this guy, not that we didn't have another people from France discrediting and humiliating it. France must be ready for war with Russia within 4 years, top general says. Moscow has repeatedly rejected claims that it plans to attack EU countries, but you cannot explain to this guy because he is the product of the, French armed forces. French tanks, as you know, they have 1 gear forward and 5 back. That is why you didn't see a single Leclerc of those mighty French tanks in the line of the combat and special military operation. But there are such allegations are being used by European politicians to scare the population and justify growing military spending. Yes, and Europeans are being scared because they are not very bright people anymore. These are not the people who gave us very many things which we enjoy today and shape the human civilization, global civilization. So, and here's this General Fabien Mandon, who became France's top general in early September, told lawmakers on the National Assembly Defense Committee on Wednesday that Russia is a country that may be tempted to continue the war on our continent. The guy is full of, pardon me, crap. I mean, he is in charge of the army, which is pathetic. It's not really an army, it's just a joke, as pretty much most of France, but with the exception of the nuclear deterrent. And so, but he continues to BS them because look at him. He looks more like Peter Sellers, actually, from Inspector Clouseau, but this is what you would expect from French officers. So, so when, you know what, the rationale behind this BS is very simple. It's actually typical French rationale. The first objective I had given the armed forces is to be ready in 3 to 4 years for a shock that would be a kind of test by Moscow, he claimed. The test already exists in hybrid forms, but it may become more violent. Dude, if you gonna fight Moscow, you're not gonna last 24 hours together with your whole armed forces and together with France as a state. But, you know, they need to sell this garbage, and according to the chief of staff, France and other Western European nations must boost defense spending, of course, because Russia has a perception of a collectively weak Western Europe. I have news for this French general and for French general staff and a bunch of the nincompoops which actually infest this, so to speak, the defensive structure. That's not a perception. You are pathetic, you are chihuahuas, and you are cowards. And simple as that. And anybody in France who think that they can be subjected to shock, well, let me say something about shock. And we're talking about the reaction of Vladimir Putin, not to the toilet exports by Russia, by the way, which obviously are a strategic defeat for Europe. They continue to soil themselves constantly, including their political leadership. So, and what can I say? I mean, they have to use Pampers, I guess, in this case. But the point is, the point is that when Vladimir Putin stated, or in terms of, during his press conference, when he talked about the issue of, some people translate it during the strike, or if the strikes on Russia are conducted by any kind of the now long-range weapons, he stated that, well, he said the response will be ошеломляющий. Ошеломляющий in Russian means many things. It means both staggering, it means shocking, it means, I mean, just overwhelming. Well, overwhelming is obvious, but I mean, staggering and shocking more along the lines of the semantics of his response. That also Mr. Peskov today had to go out and explain what that means. He said, nobody cares if you put the tomahawks physically in Ukraine. I mean, they will be annihilated, but it's one thing. If you strike Russia, now you have to sit, and that's what they do, this bunch of morons from the NATO in Brussels and elsewhere, they begin to decipher what this shocking or staggering response of Russia could be. And it will be decisive also. I can tell you what it's going to be. They will die, those people in Brussels, I mean, together in their bunkers, and they will be decapitated there. That's simple as that. If they want war, they will get war. Russians can do it without nuclear weapons. And yesterday, throughout all kinds of interviews, I was stressing again that the only danger Russians view in the tomahawks, clams, is the theoretical possibility of returning some of the nuclear warheads to tip those missiles, Block 5 or Block 4, but Russians will treat it as the attack on Russia with nuclear weapons. And they will respond, well, in kind, in a sense, in the sense of the outcome. So what it's going to be? Well, there's going to be the fact that actually, as I already stated, NATO will cease to exist. And anybody who thinks that this is a joke, I have a bridge to sell you. But this is what is happening. And so we now see across the board all those things happening, and we can go now to the, as you can see yourself, this is the tally for yesterday, you see, 1,580. They continue to launch, Ukrainians, all kinds of drones, primarily against Russian civilians, target mainly against cars with peaceful people, against their apartment blocks and things of this nature. But this is the only thing that NATO can fight it with. But while in reality, if you take a look attentively at what is just one of the many cemeteries around Dnipropetrovsk, so that gives you a really understanding of the scale of the slaughter which Russians, you know what, afforded for the Ukrainians. You can see yourself, just one of many cemeteries around Dnipropetrovsk, or they call it Dnieper now. So, yeah, here's your visual expression of things. And, well, what can I say? Talking about Kherson, and what you saw in the beginning also when Kherson is being subjected to some kind of the preparation of, operation which already started to basically take it back. If you take a look attentively at this Karantinny Ostrov, this is island, Karantinny Island. I deliberately measured your distance, and this is already adjacent to the Kherson, city of Kherson, and as you can see yourself, the total distance is about 400 meters, give and take, and Russian diversionary recon groups have been already preparing what is called bridgehead or Platzdarm at this island, which could be used later for accumulation of some of the forces before actually, crossing the Dnieper into the Kherson proper. And here's, as you can see yourself, one of those DRGs actually doing their thing. And yeah, the operation of the liberation of Kherson has started, and we will see the dynamics of it, where it is all going very soon. And now we can take a look at Pokrovsk yesterday, which is Krasnoarmeysk. As you can see yourself, yeah, Russians took Rodninskaya, and now the cauldron is closed. They have no road to actually run away, period. It is all closed. What does it mean when you look at this situation? Well, simple. Russian army already told whatever number of the brigades which are completely demoralized, and they try to avoid their combat contact with the Russians. They the best they can do is act out of ambushes and run away. But other than that, they just cannot handle the Russian storm groups. Russian army told them that you have until 27th of October. Clear the city, or, well, then you will be annihilated. Simple as that. And now the only way they can get the hell out of there, pardon me, is through the fields. There are no roads, maybe some, trails here and there, all in the open. And you know what does it mean. They will take more civilians, get them around their group, and will start running away. This is how they do those things. This is NATO, training for them. And so, if we take a look further on what we, as you can see yourself, this is one of the today's proceedings with the Первотравное Приволье has been taken by Russians, and you see yourself, each day Russian army goes and clears one after another hamlet or village or town, and yeah, it's the larger operation in terms of the clearing the what is called Slavyansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration, and the last basically line of defense, which is really well prepared. So, and if you take a look attentively at the propaganda by Ukrainian army and whatever the morons in Pentagon buy it, and I have now news for you, I can now say it because it has been openly stated, that people call her the Kharkiv killer for good reason. Stealthily in the night, this 17-year-old sniper has already taken down 3 BTR-82As and 2 BTR-80s, immobilizing an entire column as they attempted to enter Kharkiv. They never saw it coming. Yeah, look at this. Indeed, nobody could see it's coming because obviously the way they stripe their ammo is basically chain loaded into this machine gun is definitely an indication of the, well, how I say it, combat proficiency and excellent level of the combat training. So guys, you know what, before you do those things, and you know, this is my basically appeal to all those imbeciles in Kiev propaganda machine. Yeah, look attentively at how you load ammo into your goddamn weapons. And so, but yeah, sure, this is what their propaganda says. And I spoke to Brandon Weichert. You can see those videos and audio. It was also broadcasted on radio about the situation of how the United States gets its intel. And Brandon, he turned out to be a delightful interlocutor, and we had a wonderful discussion. And he was former congressional staffer, and he was part of the real serious link communication between the liaison between Congress, U.S. Congress, and Pentagon. He took part in a number of Pentagon games, and he actually saw some things there which he shared with me, but we knew it already. Pentagon gets most of its intel from Ukrainian side. So, what can I say? Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about their professional level. You saw their so-called professional level, or rather lack thereof, of American generals. It was demonstrated for the last 3.5 years. It was manifest, you know, and so, but now, yeah, they believe this crap. And that tells you how unprofessional those people are. Those few serious officers in Pentagon who understand and know how to develop the information before it becomes knowledge, they obviously have no real access to anything or influence on anything, because they do believe that Russians lost 1.7 million, what have you, and they still drink the school aid of this BS from actually, well, yeah, Kiev. What can I say? I mean, that's why United States will never again win any war. And again, that's why I wrote the book, which is called America's Final War. The only thing United States can hope for is some kind of the local victory, regime change, you know, of Mr. Maduro in Venezuela. But yeah, last time I saw it, Venezuelans are kind of getting ready themselves for the, at least attack. I mean, I don't think any ground forces will do it with much enthusiasm because Venezuela is not Iraq. And I discussed it with Garland Nixon, who visited Venezuela in depth. And so it's going to be a very horrifying experience for them. And so that's not it. Not even close of what is going on. Suddenly, when everybody talks about, oh, why do Russians have leakers? Why Russians allow this or the other drone to get through? Well, I have news for you. And these are news very interesting. They are from what is called northwestern Kazakhstan. And suddenly some Kazakh people, I don't know, maybe they were Russians or Kazakh, look what they found in Kazakhstan. That's interesting. This is the Ukrainian language. This is not some kind of the FSB false flag operations. It was known for a long time now. And these are the, fragments of the drone which crashed. Not all drones fly successfully, which crashed in the northwestern Kazakhstan. If you want to take a look what it is, what region of this Burli region of Kazakhstan where those things have been uncovered, here it is. Look at this. This is not far from Volgograd. And this is not far from actually Makhachkala. If you take a look at those things, to the south, you can easily reach, for example, the Kaspiysk, which is the main base of the Caspian Flotilla. But you literally just near Volgograd, you can launch it from there. And those are very, they're steppes, prairies, and very little population there. Now, I didn't present to you the map towards the north, but that's where they are launching those drones at Russia. And this is why, I don't know, Mr. Takayev has to think very hard in what his security services are doing, So, but we can go and even look at even further. If you take a look at the Azerbaijan also is involved into, as you know, there were some drones flying during the provocation by Israel 12-day war. They were flying from the Azerbaijan territory. And here's what you can do, launching all kinds of the Ukrainian drones or British drones at Kaspiysk, which is in Dagestan. And what can I say? How do I know this? Oh, here is your video of Dagestan. They shoot down some drone. And this drone, obviously, if you take a look at it, is actually launched most likely not from Ukraine. It's launched highly likely from those places which in the countries of Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan obviously are not doing enough, or maybe they are in cahoots with Ukrainians in providing their territory and doing things with impunity. Obviously, Russians are not going to invade Dagestan or, Kazakhstan or Azerbaijan. But I think Azerbaijan has the better intentions nowadays, because just today, Mr. Putin and Mr. Aliyev spoke on the phone. A dramatic change in the relations since of lately, as you remember, when essentially being Russian Azerbaijan was very dangerous. And so they talk about restoration of the cooperation and things of this nature, but obviously on a completely different foundation, because Russians are dealing with all those diasporas. Just many people do not understand what is going on. For example, Tajikistan, of all places, because there's a lot of immigration from Tajikistan. And don't forget who those people who committed the crime in the Crocus City. They were from Tajikistan, those, Muslims and, So, and now suddenly the Internal Affairs, Minister of the Internal Affairs of Tajikistan begins to have its offices in Russia. You know why? Well, it's actually not Russia surrendering its sovereignty. It's kind of opposite. They will be now sifting through the bunch of the illegal immigrants and sending them back home. And this is how you have to deal with the immigration. And this is what Mr. Medvedev stated, the second person in a Russian hierarchy, political hierarchy, yesterday. He stated it stops now any kind of immigration other than the one which is allowed and which is controlled. The rest of it, back home, whatever they will be. Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, there you go. Russians had enough, and that pretty much basically fits itself really well in the overall trajectory of the Russia regaining its sovereignty as the not only the subject of the international affairs. No. Not only that, it's as the national reclaiming of Russians of its sovereignty, Russian people, and that is very important. But that would have been not it if not the other thing, which is very important to point out here. And this is, yeah, everybody reports on this. And now European Union, oh my God, yeah, Mr. Macron, his mighty France, all of that. EU leaders defer Russian frozen asset plan decision to December. Okay. They, of course, Belgium stated, we won't share the responsibility if this happens. United States is not in it, not because of the goodness of the United States, but because United States rather have European Union still Russian assets, and for whatever the remaining reputation of the United States to be intact. But to understand what Europe is today, and again, make no mistake, here it is. Yeah, this is reported by Bloomberg, this reported by everybody essentially. Nobody wants to meet Van der Poel in China, the foreign minister, and it's correct. And fact is, Mr. Z also doesn't have the time for Mr. Merz. Germany is not that important anymore. Many people still do not understand. There's a big game between these three, Russia, China, and United States, with India kind of playing more and more important role in this, and obviously telling the United States to go to pound cent with this secondary, whatever the sanctions on Russian oil production and oil sales. But yeah, we'll see about India. China simply has no other option. But then again, Chinese and Russians are, they are in cahoots in this respect. We'll see where it is all going. But as was already stated by people such as Mr. Novak, for example, a genius and an energy guy, and obviously by Mr. Putin himself, it's not going to affect Russia even if they stop buying the oil. It's completely, it's a very complex system, this energy trade, and United States knows it. And but if they say that, well, they have this Bloomberg reports that, oh my God, this is funny. When you look attentively at this schizophrenic behavior of the Trump administration, it is very simple that Trump's sudden shift on Putin spurred by Russia critic Rubio. Of course, Rubio is, as already stated, he is the guy who has no clue about the international relations. He is a lawyer, and they talk that but sudden shift also grew from an assessment by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a long-time Russia hawk who once called Putin a gangster, that Moscow had not made any substantive changes to his position, according to US and European officials familiar with the matter. The people who ask not to be identified, of course, discussing internal deliberations, said Rubio called off a planned in-person meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov after the two men spoke by phone, and it became apparent the Kremlin was trying once again to slow-walk ceasefire discussions and drag out war. Somebody explained to this boy Rubio and Miriam Adelson's errand boy that there is no change in Russian position regarding Ukraine. There will be no change with Russian position regarding Ukraine. And if he wants to really play this game, he better start learning real geopolitics. With the degree in law, nothing wrong with being a lawyer, make no mistake. Being a lawyer is important. It's a big time, profession, which any society needs it. But I mean, it's not well suited, as for example, journalists do. It's not well suited for the matters of the actual policy, and especially communication between such countries as the United States, which is declining dramatically, and Russia, which is ascending and is a genuine military and economic superpower. You cannot explain it to him. He doesn't have toolkit. And in conclusion, So they lied. CNN lied. That's what they do. There was people say 70,000, many tens of thousands of the Hungarians. They called this demonstration for peace. People say that it was opposition. In reality, it wasn't necessarily opposition. It was actually, as you can see yourself, you don't need to know Hungarian, that we are not going to die for, we are not willing to die for Ukraine. And this is basically, well, the mood of the most population of for example, Hungarians, and of population of Hungarians. And then, of course, if you go into Romania, you don't want to meet this woman. No, really. This is from 2023 photo when she promises to break legs of Zelensky. But Diana Shashoaka, if you look at her, if she will meet you in the dark corner, she will beat the crap out of you. She will beat the crap out of me. But she is the Romanian nationalist. She just came back from Russia, celebrating 20 years of Russia Today, and she is really a Romanian nationalist who says that NATO is corrupt. Well, she's absolutely correct. NATO corrupted her country, and yeah, she's the woman you can talk to, you can deal with, and she's a Romanian patriot. And so there you go, that she will break Mr. Zelensky's, legs. And if you have any doubts about that she can do it, believe me, she can do it. Look at her. She's a wonderful woman. She's very articulate and so very smart, by the way. So, what can I say? This is the thing which people like Macron or Starmer or what have you, all those globalist shills, are afraid of. But inevitably some kind of the nationalist movements which see the salvaging of their countries and their cultures as the only way to just go. That's it. You need to overthrow those governments. And the process kind of started a little bit. But that's the topic for the next video probably. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you guys today. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, and those who can afford, please support me on the Patreon or buy me a coffee too. That will allow me to stay in this business. So have a nice weekend coming to you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.